Right then, this is Rapid Reload, made by Mediavision, one of the first games to come on the PlayStation. What do I mean by one of the first? Well, it was actually the 4th ever game to be registered by Sony for production on the PlayStation, the first one being the original Ridge Racer. Here I'm showing you the controls because A, figured it might be interesting, and B, because I've forgotten them. Yay! I've not played this game in a while. Anyway, I decided to press the wrong button. This game actually has the thing where X is cancel and not select. It's one of those old school Japanese PlayStation games. Right then, we're now into the game and, well, this is it. What does this remind you of? It reminds me of Gunstar Heroes. Not sure if you guys can see the similarities, but yeah, it definitely has that vibe about it. Like Gunstar Heroes, it actually has 4 weapons which you can choose from. Unfortunately, you can't merge them, but they do get more powerful when you collect these little P diamond gems. The more of those you collect, the more power your guy's weapon has. Obviously, your power drains down over time, so it forces the player to keep moving. One thing I do like about this game is all the graphics and presentation. There's a lot of detail on everything actually. Obviously this isn't going to be using the full PlayStation hardware capabilities because this is a first generation PlayStation title, but it certainly is no slouch. I mean, it's still very playable even today, presentation wise anyway. While Rapid Reload takes a lot of inspiration from Gunstar Heroes, it does have a few ideas of its own into the mix. For a start, you can actually use a grappling hook on this game. You can get you some pretty tight spots, and some of the platforming elements of the game that actually require you to use it later on. The levels have obviously also been inspired by Treasure's classic shoot 'em up, but they're not complete rip-offs. Of course, there is also the obligatory scrolling mine level. Instead of being in a minecart though, he's actually on rollerblades and you can switch between those 2 planes, but you know, it's not completely taken from Treasure's game, so to speak. It's just borrowing a little inspiration, if you catch my drift. And then there's the bosses. I apologise if I keep comparing this to Gunstar Heroes, but Treasure really do make good bosses, and Gunstar Heroes was a great showcase for that. While this game does have some pretty good bosses, well, let's just take a look at them, shall we? At the end of every end boss, you get this weird little cutscene. You say, "You should judge people by their purses, damn it!"
We'll find the Valkyrie first at any cost.
Yeah, they generally aren't very well written or that important. Yeah, let's get back to the game. Here you see me back at level 1 again, and yeah, the reason why I chose this bit, because A, it's a bit frantic, and B, you actually see me use my grappling hook a bit more. The actual gameplay is quite fun. It's actually one of those games that I actually do enjoy playing and dig out from once in a while. I wouldn't necessarily say it's like a classic or anything, but it certainly is a very, very enjoyable scrolling shoot 'em up. It's just a shame that the bosses are a tad medicore, really. One thing that has to be said, this game, well, I'd say it's about as tough as Gunstar Heroes. It initially appears to be quite a tough game. I mean, you've only got one life. Once your energy bar runs out, that's it. I mean, you can continue and stuff, but you know, once you die, you die. But like, once you know what weapons to use on what bosses and stuff, and the game becomes very easy. Oh yeah, this is a mini boss, I forgot. Yeah, in fact, there are actually quite a few mini bosses in the game. These bosses that I showed you were only a small handful, really. I did actually play the game when I was recording this all the way through to level 3. In fact, fuck it, let's show you some of the other levels right now. Here's level 2, the jungle level. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff appearing out of the water and stuff, but I would just like to point out that every level has vastly different enemies. There's not a lot of enemy recycling on this, which is pretty cool. No, I noticed that on, like, you know, quite a lot of running gun games, they do tend to recycle quite a lot of the enemies a lot. But this game it doesn't, so hats off, Mediavision, hats off. Anyway, like I was saying before, this is a pretty good running gun game. It's not the best example I've ever seen on any console ever, but it is certainly worth looking into if you like these type of games. I definitely recommend checking this game out. Anyway, I'm going to leave you to watch the rest of his boss battle. I'll catch you later. Bye.
Yeah.